The video for the track Desire by Bob Moses featuring Zhu is really rad. It's an interactive animated video that allows you to change the vibe of the video on the fly as it plays. Here with more is the creative director and also the founder of Control 5, Owen Brown, and along with Misha Vladimirsky of Filterless. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Pete. Owen, thanks for being on the show. How did the partnership, Control 5's partnership with Bob Moses come about? Because those guys are, they're rad, and I've worked with them on a bunch of stuff myself.
Oh, no way.
My art project, one of my art projects. So I know how easy they were to work with, but how did that happen, and what brought this new video together?
Yeah, so we just started talking to their management team and kind of just told them about our vision to tell a consistent story across the board for every piece of content they'd be rolling out over the course of a release period. And they were just kind of interested in that general idea of creating consistent vision. And so we started working together via their management team. And when we began working with them, we were originally going to create like a Lemonade style visual album rollout. We had a 30-minute series of videos that we were going to release as a package together. And when we were doing this was about a few weeks before quarantine started happening around America. And very quickly, we kind of realized that shooting 30 minutes of live action footage was not going to be possible for the foreseeable future. And really the only options available, or at least the only options that were available to us then, were through animation. And so my challenge was, how do I create a piece of animated content that isn't just going to feel like throwaway content? And so this idea of using an interactive player in order to tell 3 different stories about desire simultaneously, and Desire is the name of both the single that we were working on and also the record, just seemed like a great idea. And so we brought this concept to tell 3 different stories simultaneously about desire using an interactive player. And we built this story with all of the symbolism that you could ever want to put into a 4-minute video, intentionally so people would have something to unpack. The video was literally made to be watched over and over again, because when you're going through the interactive process of watching it, you can see certain things by clicking either the blue filter or the red filter. And a lot of these things happen in a split second. So there's almost no way you can catch everything the first time you go, because so many of these like hidden Easter eggs you can only see for a second or two. So if you have to rewatch it in order to find all these little pieces in there.
When creating, not only with Bob Moses and those guys, but also having Zhu involved, how was that process and getting, because you're not just dealing with, you're the agency of record for one band. Now there's another band involved. What was that like? Was there any kind of, back and forth, or Zhu's guys are like, hey, we trust you and we love what you're doing?
I think there was just a lot of trust there. I wasn't really involved in that many of those conversations with Zhu's team. But we had a very easy process of working with both Bob Moses and Zhu. I don't think Zhu gave us, any feedback that was difficult or burdensome in any way. It was a very easy process. I think the vision for the video was very clear from the beginning, because we had the first minute of animation done pretty early. And so from there, it was very easy to see what the whole thing was going to look like. And I think, starting from a few months back, everyone just could kind of see where this was going, that this was a really beautiful animated video that was going to be far and above what people are expecting from these animated projects.
When you're working with an artist that's, a band or a single individual, but looking at them as a brand, like how do you cross those 2 lines and make them fit correctly? Because I've worked in advertising for a long time, and look, a brand is not a living person, so you kind of you treat them differently. But
Totally. Yeah.
now,
You're right.
now you're looking at a band, and you have to treat them as a brand and really
Yeah.
analyze not only like who they are as a person, but what their audience is like and everything else. Like, how do you guys actually process that information? You know, like how do you
Yeah,
combine
it's a
them?
great question. And that is specifically what we do as our core mission is just help figure out what an artist's brand is. I think brand is a bit of a dirty word, but it's a great way to summarize the process and what our goal is here. But we start out with a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of brainstorms, a lot of mood boards with all of our artists, and really understand what they want. I think that is the first goal, is to figure out who the artist wants to be as an artist. I think there's a huge misunderstanding among artists that artists are great artists across the board, from music to visuals to fine art to like coming up with incredible concepts. And that is just not true. I think 99% of artists are incredible musicians, and they're not great at coming up with visual concepts, right? So we are trying to fix that. That is actively my mission, is to just help artists do what Obama did, do what artists like Billie Eilish do what artists like Travis Scott does, where there is a very clear vision here for what is happening across a campaign, across the release for a body of music. When you think of Obama, you can think of the words that come to mind when his name is mentioned, right? It's hope and change. When you think of Billie Eilish, her color palette immediately comes to mind. You think of, if I were to say to anyone who's interested in music, what's Billie Eilish's color? They would say green, right? Like when you think of Lizzo, you think of self-empowerment, right? Everything she does revolves around this. Travis Scott has been showing us what Astro World looks like. So with Bob Moses, specifically, it was really just about getting back to their warehouse and club roots. They're an artist that has become very well known in the world of pop music, and that's really not what they want to be and what they want to do. They're a club act. They want to like play Berghain. They want to like play warehouses in Brooklyn. They want to have those associations and be in those circles. And so just when we started to think about, who are Bob Moses and what should they look like, what should their visual identity be, we wanted to better align them with this whole world. And that's what you see, happening across all of these different pieces of content that we've been put out. I mean, you can in the final world in the music video, they're literally following through like a world that revolves around a warehouse, right? Like we didn't want to be explicitly street art, but we wanted to kind of be street art adjacent. And so you do see pieces of street art, which is obviously a big part of warehouse culture throughout the video.
That's right. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.